Hi guys, and welcome back to another Call of Duty commentary with me, InstentKarma with me. Today I have a topic for you, so we're going to stray a little bit more from what I've actually been doing, the live comms when I had that weapon breakdown for the light machine guns. But today, I'm actually getting back into topics. So I'm going to be jumping around all over the place while we continue here, but it's whatever comes into my mind. I figure I'd record. So, I actually don't have the gameplay ready for today. I'm just recording this on Audacity, before I get it, so I'm going to make it about 7 minutes, because that's what I've been finding most gameplays to be. But hopefully, and ideally, this is going to be some sniping gameplay for y'all, and probably be using the MSR and the quick scope setup. So we got sleight of hand, then quick draw, and steady aim on there, with the throwing knife for my tactical, and then stuns for my tactical, yeah. So throwing knife was my lethal, excuse me there. But what I want to talk to you about is commentary that I saw yesterday, and it raised a good point in my mind, and I just wanted to address it. And it was actually that of Skeleton Ranger. I'll put his channel in the box below here so you guys can go check him out. But he was talking about how he wants to see more World War II games, and he brought up a good point about how with Call of Duty 4, we were all getting sick of World War II, and then they brought us these modern games, and then they've just been outplaying that over and over. So I thought that was a good idea, but what I wanted to go off more so is that it seems like a lot of the games back, before the present one, are thought of with these, thought of as the perfect game, more or less. People don't really have any issues with them. They think of them as, that was the best part of the series. I wish we could just go back to that. And I just got to remind you guys that those games all have their flaws. Now, Call of Duty 4, you got to be looking a little bit more to find all the flaws. But I'm going to go ahead and start out with World at War here, which was the shooter that he was addressing in his commentary. So what I wanted to get in today is talking about Call of Duty Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2, and then World at War. So let's go ahead and start with World at War, because that is honestly one of my favorite Call of Duties, and I too look back on it as seeing that as one of the most perfect games. But when I really sat down and thought about it, I did notice quite a few issues there. The first issue being that is the first game that introduced Second Chance or Last Stand, whatever you want to call it. That's the one that brought it to the forefront. It was the third perk on there, just like it was in Black Ops, and it just got really annoying with that. The cool thing that I did like, and honestly I did run that on every class for a while, because it's before I got into YouTube, before I got knowing about all the noobish stuff, because I don't really play with a mic most of the time. If you come into one of my lobbies, you'll notice that I don't really have a mic in. I tend to like to listen to music, or just the game volume and mute everybody else. Nothing personal, but it's just not for me. So I did run that on my class, and I also ran the equivalent of Assassin or Ghost as well, which I'm not proud of in that respect. But one thing I did run with Last Stand, because I hated it, I'll be honest. I did not like shooting people and having them drop down into it. But what I would do is I'd have it on there because you could go around and pick up your dead teammates, and I thought that was a cool ability. Because, I played Team Fortress 2 and I played Battlefield, and in those games you do have a medic class where you can revive your person and, kind of get on Battlefield where you can get tickets back, and that really helps you out. Actually, in Team Fortress, I don't think you can revive people, you can just heal them. But, I like to play that medic class or the healer, and so that was a cool thing that I liked in there, but, it did have its drawbacks. And then along with those same lines, we had in World at War the MP40, which was one of the worst weapon balances in a Call of Duty game as far as I'm concerned, because that submachine gun just ruled anything that you threw at it. So we did see that first there, because going back to Call of Duty 4 again, the weapon balance is pretty good overall. I mean, people have found a few more exploits nowadays that's been out longer, but the MP40 was really the first interaction we had with that, with having a way OP gun that nothing can touch. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring up with World at War was the dogs at the time. For whatever reason, they just really got to me, because, a helicopter was the 7-kill streak in Call of Duty 4, so, you could go inside a building and be safe from it, or you could shoot it down, whereas dogs, they'd get you even if you were inside. You had to shoot at them, and then even if you shot that first one, there were more coming at you, so those really bothered me quite a bit there. So, that game definitely did have its problems. And the Modern Warfare 2, I think there's too many problems there to really discuss. But you guys know that that one is definitely not the best game in the Call of Duty franchise. I mean, it's fun and all. Some of you might actually think it is the best, but it definitely had its fair share of flaws. And then into Black Ops, you know, people are talking about that a lot better nowadays than when it was out, because, you know, I started doing my commentaries back when Black Ops was first around, and it was one of the top things to talk about how bad that game was. And now that we have the worst game, which Modern Warfare 3, you know, I honestly think is the worst game in the franchise, next to Modern Warfare 2, but that's pretty much because they're carbon copies of each other. But now that we're in this game, everybody's looking back on Black Ops with, you know, awe in their eyes, seeing how great this game is. But it definitely had its flaws too, Last Stand and Ghost. And then, you know, the AK-47 Rapid Fire and FAMAS Suppressor, both were weapons that were just insane, nobody really liked getting killed by. But, you know, as I talk bad about Modern Warfare 3 here, it brings up my next point, and that's that no matter what the most current Call of Duty is, everybody's going to be talking bad about it. It just seems to be that way, because, you know, as far back as I can remember, again, not Call of Duty 4, for whatever reason, that game has remained pristine, and, you know, there's very few problems with it, minus the hackers nowadays. But when you look back at it, nobody really has issues with it during the time, really after the fact very much. But, you know, starting with World at War 4th, we do see that everybody during the time of the game did not like the game. And I myself, you know, at World at War, I didn't play the game. I still have yet to prestige in that game. Even though it is my favorite Call of Duty now, during the time I hated it, and I didn't really play it. But, you know, it seems whatever the most current Call of Duty is, people are going to nitpick it to death, because that's the one they're playing the most, too. So, you know, it makes a bit of sense. But, you know, everybody says it's the worst game out at that time. So it's just a few observations I've made, you know. Thanks Skeleton Ranger for, you know, evoking this topic in my head. But hopefully you guys learned something like about this, or, you know, just gave you food for thought. But either way, I am going to go ahead and cut the commentary here. Please remember, rate, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you next time.